And so, it begins. Dark were the skies and chill was the wind as the land was covered in a veil of malice. Across the hill did ride a dread army of the night, cloaked in mist and fog, prepared to rain down death and destruction upon the land. And the people did crowd for a savior, a noble soul to save them from their impending demise. Just as it seemed all was lost, in strode a mighty hero, clad in shimmering metal from head to toe. Wielding a terrible broadsword, he did cleave his foes in two, smashing their ranks asunder with righteous fury. And when the day was done and the enemy strewn across the fields in pieces, the people did turn to the warrior and say, "We shall name this day in your honor. Speak unto us your wisdom." The warrior said one word that day: epic.
One man, one Murloc, one giant angry badger. This is Blue Please. It begins now. Yes, indeed, folks. Welcome to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. The date today is the 23rd of October, 2009. It is 8 p.m. British Standard Time. It's 3 p.m. EST. In other places, it may be other times. So I've been told. We've sent out an expedition to find out whether or not this is the case. They will report back with their findings. In the meantime, I have a show to do. And what do I have coming up for you in said show today? I could tell you, but then that would ruin the surprise, wouldn't it? But since I'm all about ruining surprises and bringing disappointment into your miserable lives, that's exactly what I'm going to do. This week on Blue Please. Stuff! And possibly other things. So, Blizzard did something very foolish. They do this a lot. They decided to use Twitter to have a developer chat. Which meant that basically my Twitter became unusable for 2 hours because they spammed it with nonsense. Yay! If I wanted to be spammed with nonsense, I'd read WoW General. Oh well, never mind. There is a bunch of very, very short questions and very, very short answers. We're gonna go through them. We're gonna find the interesting ones. We're gonna talk about various choice quotes, some of which I do not much like. At all. At all. We'll find that out a little bit later on in the show. And of course, your chance to contribute to the show. The illusion of choice. Email themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com for your chance to contribute to the show. It's not really much of a prize, I guess. Sort of like a little bit of bragging rights. Yay, I got a question on Blue Please. Yeah, it's like the worst prize ever. It's like opening your presents at Christmas around the tree with your family's beaming smiles on all sides, and inside what do you find but a wet flannel? And you try and put on a brave face as your grandmother beams particularly, because she was the one who made you that flannel. And to ensure that it is ready for use immediately, she pre-soaked it before wrapping it. But inside, you feel nothing but ire, anger, rage, despair, and suffering. And that is what the illusion of choice basically is. Suffering. Email themurloc@gmail.com for your dose of suffering. I'll pick the best one, or perhaps the worst one, and talk about it at the end of the show. Do we have Nubcake News? Yes, we do. Do we have Ask the Murloc? Yes, we do. Are we going to do Ask the Murloc live because you guys, for some reason, seemed to like it the last time we did it? Yes, we are.
Ask the Murloc.
You're going to have to wait for that one. I would suggest, if you want to get involved in the live Ask the Murloc, you get in the IRC channel, irc.mmo, irc.com, #or #WoW Radio. Yes, indeed. # or # WoW Radio. Or click the chat button at the top of the screen on wcradio.com, which, yes, has been down for a day and a bit. To answer questions, there is no mystery behind Blizzard Radio. It just happens to be another domain we own. We own quite a lot. You would be surprised how many we have. Site went down, we had to redirect to another domain, you know, the business. Mucking about, etc., etc. Oh well. Now, I would like to remind all of you that tonight is the last WoW Things Considered. Yes, that's very disappointing for a lot of people, I know. It's the last WoW Things Considered. Cadwallian is leaving the station because you may be aware he has a spawn on the way. Yes, a real-life spawn. So he's going to have to be dedicating time to that. And he's interested in getting involved in other open source projects. We wish him the very best of luck for that. So you'll want to be listening to that. If Wild Things Considered is something that you've been enjoying over the past few years, it's probably the longest running show we have in terms of shows that have gone on without interruption. Check that out. That's midnight tonight BST or 7 PM Eastern Standard Time on WCRadio.com. And of course, if you're worried that Dunko will disappear, he will not. He's got his other show. He doesn't really play WoW much anymore, so it's probably best that he talks about something else, and that was his idea as well. He does a show with Speedy and Railvass. It's called Just Cool Enough on justcoolenough.com. Go and have a look at that after this show is done. Are you sitting comfortably? I hope so. The Murloc doesn't. But we're not going to hear from him for a little while. A little bit later in the show, perhaps. So without further ado, it's time for this.
That sounds like it's mail time. Here's the mail.
It never fails.
It makes me want to wag my tail. When it comes,
I want to wail.
Yes, it's mail time. It's where we read the mail. It's exciting, isn't it? You're thrilled, I can tell. Your excitement permeates through the screen, soaks through the internet, oozes out of every orifice. Maybe not. Here we go. Here's an email. This one's controversial. I like things like that. Someone trying to contradict what I'm saying. That's always good. I like debate, folks. I love it. Discussion is fantastic, particularly with people that can string a sentence together. It's not something you really get very often. You'll be aware of that, of course, if you ever venture on a WoW General. I accidentally went there yesterday. Big idea. I had this grand scheme. But it turns out it wasn't really a big idea. It was a bad idea. That place, you feel dirty. Ugh. Can't wash the stench and the stink of failure off you. Cesspit, that's what it is. However, this email is not an intellectual disaster area, so here we go. It's from Mike Emily. He says this: Hey TB, straight to the point. Okay. I was listening to You Please, where you tackled the question, is the PTR a good thing? Your response was to suggest that Blizzard has enough money and capable... What's that? Capable to staff. I assume capable staff to manage their own internal testing of content, and therefore there is no reason to get the public involved whatsoever. In terms of balancing and strategy, I appreciate your point. I don't entirely disagree with where you're coming from. In terms of the idea that the public should not get involved, though, I must say I do disagree with you completely. With a player base in the multiple millions, it is impossible for Blizzard to test the many different PC setups that are out there in the world. Imagine trying to see how well your game ran with graphics card X running alongside sound card Y and Z amount of RAM. A mind-boggling amount of combinations exist, and the only way to identify any potential problems before settling on a global release is to run this sort of massive public test. With Blizzard freely snooping your machine for stats and performance, they can build an idea of how to address any problems that might crop up if they run with the game as they crafted it thus far. Of course, they're not always perfect. Mistakes have been made in the past, and when they do happen, you should rightly question what the hell Blizzard are playing at when they have run such a PTR and missed something. On the whole, though, I feel the PTR does offer a valid testing ground for Blizzard's content, and they should not be snubbed for making use of those players that are inclined to jump in. Testers are great, but since I work in the industry myself, I know how easy it can be for testers to miss something blindingly obvious. When you spend time with the game all day, every day is not unreasonable for a tester to fall into a groove. They should do what they can to refresh their point of view of the game they are testing, but nothing beats a fresh set of eyes on a job. Having X amount of players turn up to your encounter and see them do wildly different things is, again, the only way Blizzard can guarantee they'll explode every angle. I am sure there are more reasons I could go into, but this mail is already at risk of being judged a wall of text. Thanks for your time. I don't think anyone's ever described the PTR as useless. Of course, it's handy. And yes, it's great for dealing with the possibility of having to look at different hardware setups and thinking, oh, well, something could be going horribly, horribly wrong. Well, yes, it could, But I must say, there's a lot of other games that don't require this massive testing on a global scale. Now, sure, there are buggy games, all that kind of thing, but WoW doesn't really work all that well to begin with. I mean, I can play, let's see, I can play stuff like, modern things, like Burnout Paradise and Street Fighter 4 on maximum detail and 60 frames a second constant on my graphics card. It's not even that great. I have an outdated PC. And yet, when I look into Dalaran, I'm looking at 5 to 10 frames a second. So I would suggest that any optimization and bug fixing they're doing for specific platforms is not going all that well. Now, I don't see how many specific issues there could potentially be within a raid dungeon, for instance, that would require massive, widespread testing of hardware. I don't think that's the case. I mean, we've had a couple of issues in the past, say Thorim's Room, I believe it was, I can't remember if it was NVIDIA or ATI cards. I think it was NVIDIA, the 8800 series perhaps, that had an issue with the particular room in question. They would make you lag out. Well, to be honest, why could that have not been tested internally? I mean, it's not that hard to get an 8800 series graphics card and run a series of different rigs. It's a big, complex program. I don't think anyone's going to argue that, but it does seem to me that they could make an effort to test the content, and if they're going to use the PTR, just to do so in a way where all the content isn't spoiled before you're even going in there. I mean, do we really need a bunch of testers going through every hard mode in TOC so everything's basically done before they even start? I don't know about you, but again, Yogg-Saron and Algernon have to come up. Where were the hardware problems in those fights? There weren't any. They were fine. Which is quite impressive considering the graphical bells and whistles that are going off in both. If they're going to test, they should be testing bits of it, not all of it. And right now, while it might appear they're testing bits of it, they are really testing all of it. Honestly. And I don't like that. I don't get along with it. I think it's a really, really, really bad idea. And I'm going to continue to believe that. Go on here. Question, very brief, from Sagnac, Outland EU. He's a level 79 hunter, first-time live listener, and first-time writer ever. Welcome to the fold. He says this very quickly. Hey TB, is 3.3 as good as I have heard? Can I have an eagle drop in? I don't know if I have any. I suppose I might, maybe. Eagle. I have a feeling I might have renamed that. Oh well, we don't have time to find it. Let's get along with it. 3.3 is as good as I don't know, man. It looks good. It certainly looks better than 3.2. That's the thing, right? It's hard to objectively judge just how good a patch is going to be. Because one, of course, if you haven't played the entire thing, then it kind of sucks. But I mean, if you look at the content, you've got one instance that is, by all rights, going to be significantly better than TOC. God, I hope so. 3 5-mans. Again, no objection to 5-mans whatsoever. I have no interest in them, but other people do. That's absolutely fine. Is it going to be better than 3.2? How could it be worse? Really? Let's be honest here. These big patches with the massive, great, stonking instances that everyone has been looking forward to are always a big deal. Now, of course, they've structured the updates a little bit differently to, say, TBC, but I remember the patch for Black Temple, Mount Hyjal. That was a good patch. A lot of good stuff in there. The Sunwell patch, which was, of course, the final big patch of the expansion, which, funnily enough, this 3.3 is supposedly the last big raid instance. That seems very odd, doesn't it? I mean, let's assume for a second, since they're in the middle of testing parts of Icecrown right now. Let's put a ballpark figure down. Let's say that we're looking... I would go for a 2010, early 2010 release for Icecrown, yeah? January. That's my prediction right now. I'll put that down. We could have a pool for it. I think we might do that, actually. That would be kind of cool. We might set up a pool. A $1 buy-in or something along those lines. Oh, gambling! It's alright, you can pay in bison dollars. It's not real money. If you assume that, and you look at the possible Cataclysm release date of, what was it, fall 2010? Something along those lines. I know there was a couple of companies that claim to have the release date. Let's have a look and see if I can find one. They seem to vary wildly, that's the problem. World of Warcraft Cataclysm on Amazon.co.uk. Let's see what they've got for it. Available for pre-order, being released sometime 2010. Right, okay, so if Amazon doesn't have it, then everyone else has basically just made it up. So it's a 2010 release. I don't think it's going to be early 2010, let's be honest. If they're following the sort of same development cycle and strategy, we're looking at late 2010. So, if Icecrown comes in, and then we don't get any more raid content for 7 to 8 months, we're going to be in trouble, let's be honest. So, it's hard to look at this patch as, oh, this is going to cap off the end of the expansion. We don't know that. And to be honest, time frame wise, unless they pull Cataclysm out the hat early, which I really hope they don't. I would like it to be good and polished and all fantastic in every possible way. Then I think there'll be something else. I think there will be a 3.4. As to what it's going to contain, however, well, that is a mystery. You are listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. I want a song by 3 Inches of Blood. I rather like this. It's called Destroy the Orcs. Enjoy. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Please. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com. You like WoW Radio shows and want to show your support for the hosts and reward them for their time spent. Well, WoW Radio show tip jars are now open for a variety of shows, so you can give to the hosts of the shows that you love. You can throw your spare change in the Blue Please tip jar if you so choose by PayPal to TotalBiscuit@gmail.com. Keep the Murloc from your door. Thank you for your continued support. Yes, indeed, folks, you're tuned into Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. So, Blizzard are truly embracing the new social media nonsense. I haven't seen their Facebook group yet, or their MySpace, where Samwise and Metzen take photos from a slight angle above their heads to make them look less fat than they really are. Perhaps they'll take off their shirts and model for us. Please don't. Ever, ever, ever do something like that. They have embraced Twitter, which is suitable considering. Yes, it really is. Twitter is full of nonsense. So, what better place for Blizzard to talk absolute nonsense than Twitter? It's ideal. They've come up with... man, really. They tweet the most irrelevant stuff these days. They really do. They currently have 34,000 followers, which is not really that impressive. I think they need to work on that. Perhaps they need to release some kind of catchy rap song by the name of Soldier Boy up in Des Ho or some other nonsense. Now, some of the things that they say on there are very ridiculous. Like, for instance, Daily WoW topic. What's your favourite Hallow's End item? Sinister Squashling? Headless Horseman mount? Masks? My favourite Hallow's End item is the one that allows me not to see those stupid tweets. It's called unsubscribe or unfollow from #Warcraft. Oh, man. It's like they took the inanity of WoW General and condensed it down into 140 characters or less, and then got everyone else to parrot it. Oh, why would you do such a thing? But they did use it for something vaguely useful. Except for the fact that, when you think about it, it is absolutely and utterly pointless, and could have been done in many, many better mediums than this. They decided to do a developer chat via Twitter. So for 2 hours, we got spam, 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 egg spam, and spam. I could not read anyone else's tweets. Not that I really wanted to or cared, but that's not the point. I should have the choice, damn it. What a nonsense. Really. They also have a French one now, which is interesting. So, you too can be excited by, instead of, what is it, WoW Daily, they've got WoW Debate. Quel objet de la session préférez-vous? Les masques? Les montées de cavalier? Les sprotulin? What sprotulin? Really? Le bonbon! That's actually different. So apparently you like the candy. Huh. What is... I think they've actually got even more nonsense on the French one. I think they're just having a laugh. It's like, what's that? Réjeuner Murlocs. I'm pretty sure Murlocs is not French. Citrouilles, moisineuses, hero et musicien dans les nouvelles de la communauté. Something about Murlocs, citrus fruits, a house and musicians that with heroic-like qualities in the community. Or something. My French was never that great, let's be honest. I like to massacre languages on this show. I'm very good at it. I think I've done at least 7 so far. So we're really getting there. There's of course the Russian one, but I'm not even going to attempt that. That would be rather scary. Anyway. We were talking about this crazy-ass dev chat. Now, thankfully, MMO Champion and their infinite wisdom decided to make it somewhat more readable than the nonsense they came up with here. It's so awkward. Look at this thing. They took the questions via Twitter, then tweeted the answers in Bitly form. Yeah, Bitly's basically Tiny Earl. Yeah? Those who are not aware of what it is, it's Tiny Earl, but it's got this little cute fish thing. I have no idea what it's all about. So they've got all the answers here in a thread. In a thread. Interesting. Why couldn't you have done the Q&A in a thread to begin with? Just moderated it. Taken emails. Not bloody tweets. I don't know what they're playing at. Whatever. The handy thing about MMO Champion, of course, is they've categorized them and put them in a nice, easy-to-read form. So we're going to go through them, folks. We're going to have a look. We're going to ignore anything that involves warriors. We don't care about them. And PvP and nonsense like that. We'll talk about the good stuff. So here we go. This is most likely going to be the rest of the show, and if it isn't, well, I'm sure I'll come up with something. So here we go. The first question that was asked via the Twitter thing was this. Will Path of the Titans be as time-consuming as obtaining Sons of Hodir reputation? And the answer was, Sons of Hodir was easy. Yes, it was. Doesn't mean it was remotely interesting. And he says, we're thinking more along the lines of Argent Dawn Rep, actually. JK! Right, okay. Blizz, seriously. You don't have a restriction when you're posting on the forum. You don't have to do Twitter-style answers to Twitter questions because you're not on Twitter! So we don't need JK! La 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 la! Die. As a matter of fact, we don't want the Path of the Titans to feel grindy at all. So we're trying to make sure that each step along the way feels more like a great quest or a key achievement, like killing all the bosses in a new raid zone. Right, can we not have it be a key achievement, instead actually be a great quest? That would be cool. See, achievements aren't really as good as quests, because merit badges aren't as exciting as loot. And if you're not going to tie in storylines and multiple tiered stuff, like, what the hell's the storyline behind any of the other achievements? What's the storyline behind fall 65 feet without dying? Yes, I can see it now on, but wait, there's Lore, the brand new season, which is starting tomorrow. Yeah, I know exactly how it's going to go. It's like, yes, the Goblin Skydiving and Base Jumping Commission decided to put forward a grand prize in order to find which of you could survive horrible falls which would most likely kill you and splatter you all over the pavement in front of your friends and family. So in order to embark on this great quest, you must do the fall 65 feet without dying achievement, and then you will be hailed as a hero amongst the mighty lands of Azeroth. And you will defeat the Lich King via sheer embarrassment, because he's not quite the base jumper that you are. Yes, emasculation, folks. Emasculate that Lich King with your jumping off of cliffs ability. It's powerful. I heard it's going to be in 3.3 as a new Shaman talent, which will, I suppose, make them more useful than they currently are right now. So, they wanted to feel like it's more orientated around accomplishing something that feels important rather than grinding. Yeah, it's called questing! You didn't need achievements to make accomplishments or actual achievements feel like you've achieved or accomplished something. All you needed was a great quest with good rewards at the end of it. That's it! You're the guys who pioneered this, remember? Back in the day? I remember that. I remember all the initial reviews and how excited people were. Like, you feel like you've achieved something every time you've done these quests, even though there's basically 5 types and they're repeated over and over and over again. And some of them are mind-numbingly boring. So, the possibility, of course, is that you could repeat that. Maybe. Possibly. Something that maybe might have crossed your mind. Please don't make it like achievements. Please. Let's have text. Let's have voice acting. Let's have stuff going on. Scripted events. Big quest line. Preferably with multiple people in places. That would be nice. Next question. It's a dumb lore question. What's Deathwing's current relationship with the old gods? Answer: in Facebook terms, I listed as it's complicated. Single or married are probably too extreme in this case. That's the kind of thing I would expect on Ancient of Trash with Slanik years and years ago. A lot of you probably don't even remember that. He occasionally would do a lore segment that was utter nonsense. Yeah, that's it, right there. That's Blizzard right there doing the same thing 3 years on. Oh, why? Let's move on, shall we? Will there be Wintergrasp-like capturable zones in Cataclysm? Yes, there will be an island off the coast of the Eastern Kingdoms named Tol Barad. Great, we're fighting over an island that's not in the middle of anything. That sounds strategically significant. Players will fight for control of the island and its famous prison. However, while the battle for Tol Barad is not in progress, players will find that it will remind them much more of the Isle of Quel'Danas, in that it'll be a major daily quest hub with quite a random world PvP. Presumably. Presumably. No, there won't. There won't be any world PvP there. There won't be any point. Don't you get it? That's the whole point. This is why world PvP died in the first place. It was supplanted by something that actually gave you a reward to begin with. People harken back to the days of world PvP and are very excited by it. They think, ah, yes, those were the days when entertainment was bland and inoffensive, and I used to frolic in the hills of Hillsbrad and kill Alliance outside of South Shore, and they would then come and kill us outside of Tarren Mill, and then would go fight in the middle for a while, and then go kill them outside of South Shore, and do that over and over and over and over and over again. Wow, world PvP sounds really exciting. Shame I missed out on it. I didn't really. I did take part in it. I just found it utterly pointless. And it was. If you're going to make world PvP useful, then you've got to have a reason to be fighting over various areas. Let's look at Wintergrasp and tell you that it's a battleground, because it is. You made it a battleground. It's not really world PvP. It would only be world PvP if people were fighting over it all the time. Now, you tried it with Halar and it didn't work. Why did it not work? Because there was nothing worth having in there. It was pointless. Utterly useless to have. But even then, at least some people fought over it. If you want to make it useful, you've got to have it capturable all the time, not any of this, oh, it's in progress nonsense. Screw that. Absolutely, just screw it. Screw the idea of having balanced fights. You might not get it. It's as simple as that. That's okay. If it's only a minor part of the world, where yes, there are rewards that are optional but desirable, then you'll get decent fights. Don't restrict players in the way that they enter these zones. That ceases to be world PvP when you do that. It's like Wintergrasp is now a battleground because it's got limited numbers in there, and you enter via a portal and a queue and all that nonsense. You don't just wander in there and fight. It's not even on the way to anything. It's isolated. It serves no strategic or practical purpose. So if you want world PvP, then that's what you've got to do. Look at what they did in Warhammer Online. Look at the keep sieging. Look at how that works. And take stock of that. That's the best idea. Don't restrict people in when, where, how, and why they can attack this area. Just let them do it. That's how world PvP starts. It's spontaneous. All you need to do to make people do it is to give them good rewards for it. It's really that easy. Nothing complicated. Next question. Thousand Needles is getting a big change in levels. How has the Cataclysm affected it? As a result of the Cataclysm, Thousand Needles has been completely flooded with water. Yay. It's probably a hazard, let's be honest. I wouldn't go swimming in there. Question. With Cataclysm revisiting the old world, any plans to make the old reputations worthwhile again? Answer. With each expansion, we introduce new reputations with new rewards. Sometimes, we introduce reputations that are obviously related, such as Argent Dawn / Argent Crusade, Cenarian Circle, Cenarian Expedition. We don't update the rewards for existing reps, as we don't want to put new characters at a significant disadvantage. Wait, what? Hang on. A significant disadvantage? How? Exactly. How is that a disadvantage in any way? That is a nonsense answer. I can't think of any other explanation for it. It's garbage. You want to talk about rep rewards? Go have a look at the blinking rep rewards in Alterac Valley and in Arathi Basin and Warsong Gulch. Look at how stupid they are. There's some rep that needs to be updated because that's content that's actually still done. I understand not updating reps for stuff that isn't done anymore. It's a waste of time. That's fine. But last I checked, people were still doing those things, and getting that reputation would be nice to have some stuff you can actually use. For God's sake, it's obvious that you've got things which will now scale with levels, so why don't you use that? I don't see what's so wrong with revisiting some of these old rep. They don't provide any tangible advantage in any respect. What are they going to give you that gives you such an amazing advantage where lower level players and new players are going to complain? Yeah, I can tell you what newer players and low level players are going to complain. Well, these other guys have got better gear than we do. That's unfair. Better change that. It's the same thing. It's the same principle. Guys who have been playing for longer generally have more stuff. What's so unfair about that? That's nonsense. That's the worst answer I've heard all week. My name's TotalBiscuit. You are listening to Blue Please. You're on WoW Radio. When we come back after the break, more tweets and twittering and nonsense. It's an Update News, folks. Enjoy. Live from the Blue Please Tower, high up in the Storm Peaks, it's an Upcake News with award-winning anchor TotalBiscuit, bringing you the news that matters, regardless of your own misguided beliefs. Welcome to this week's edition of Nubcake News. Coming up later in the program, a terrifying look into the mind of Chris Metzen. Just how much arcane powder did he really snort? But first, Arthas is said to be furious this evening after a unanimous ruling by the Azeroth High Court that he is a bad influence. Contained within the 78-page ruling are various references to utter corruption, incalculable evil, and immeasurable malice, but more disturbing still are reports of various health and safety violations. The Scourge are currently Azeroth's largest employer with over 100 million workers, yet also possesses the lowest turnover, with almost none of the workers having left the service of the Lich King. Analysts have attributed this to a generous benefits package and substantial performance bonuses, but upon further investigation, it turns out that the working environment may not be as idyllic as first believed. Since the launch of Wrath of the Lich King, the Scourge's main corporate headquarters have been strictly off-limits, with inspectors unable to enter from any possible avenue due to a surprising lack of doors. Attempts to contact the Lich King directly by phone have also failed, with calls being rerouted to Arthas' personal assistant Bolvar, who reported that Arthas was suffering from a case of the sniffles. Letters were frequently returned, badly chewed, covered in vile ichor, and bike messengers complained that Icecrown was, quote, a little chilly, plus gargoyles kept trying to bite their tires and face. Recently, Icecrown has undergone some serious urban development, and a portal has been added which allowed inspectors to gain access to the inner sanctums of the Lich King's domain. What they found there was highly disturbing and most assuredly illegal. After a thorough audit, no less than 47 bottomless pits were discovered without appropriate guardrails. When nearby workers were asked if there had been any accidents, they put up a wall of silence, unwilling to speak to anyone or anything. Some have claimed that this is because they have no mouths, tongues, or jaws to speak of, but this has yet to be proven. A more shocking discovery was soon to follow, as in a staggering display of corporate irresponsibility, a bottomless pit was also found in the middle of the staff roller disco. A supervisor's claim of sudden and unexpected subsidence that will be rectified immediately was rejected on the basis that it was a little shady. The inspection team is currently making its way into the depths of Icecrown Citadel with one of our reporters who joins us now. TotalBiscuit, what's it like down there? Well, TB, it seems that Icecrown is in the midst of preparations for some kind of big event. When we spoke to one of the marketing representatives, he informed us that it was a big party with cake and stuff, and that all were welcome. Rather puzzled by the prospect of cake in such a frigid and noxious environment, I questioned the rep further, and was informed to my satisfaction that it was ice cream cake. Unfortunately, the continuing construction work inside Icecrown is posing a myriad of hazards to the workforce. Among the dangers are exposed wiring, ruffled carpets, and unstable office chairs. Well, that doesn't sound too bad. I mean, who doesn't have an unstable office chair, right? Why, last week I almost fell backwards at... No, TB, I don't think you quite understand. These unstable office chairs have a tendency to explode, annihilating the user and sending plague-laced shrapnel flying across a 500-meter radius. Apparently, the cleanup is quite costly. Well, that sounds like something that should be rectified immediately rather than sat on and ignored. The inspection team agrees, but that's only part of the problem. Further investigation has revealed that discrimination is rife inside the Icecrown headquarters. We found no living creatures to speak of. In fact, it's safe to say that the employment demographic is 100% dead, which, as you are aware, is a flagrant violation of government quotas. And is there much demand among living workers for positions inside the Scourge Corporation? Oh, yes, without a doubt. In fact, just last week, a large protest gathered outside the Citadel demanding that the horrible undead atrocities stop ticking gerbs at once. We are informed that Scourge representatives asked them inside for tea and biscuits, and since there hasn't been a trace of them since, we can only assume they got bored and went home. Well, from what we've been hearing, it hasn't all been plain sailing for the Scourge Corporation lately in terms of HR, with a protest by executive directors Rotface and Festergut. Yes, apparently they were forced to adopt those titles as part of company policy. Scourge Directive mandates a very strict code of presentation, and their original names, Reginald and Barnaby, were declared unsuitable. They staged a sit-in along with several hundred night shift workers, but unfortunately it appears the enclosed laboratory which they chose for their protest did not have adequate ventilation, and the workers soon succumbed to Festergut's noxious fumes. This upset him greatly, as he had attempted to have this problem rectified under the company's health insurance policy, but was told it was a pre-existing condition, and that he was not covered. So, all in all, things aren't really looking too good for Scourge CEO Arthas at this point. Indeed. In fact, if his appeal is unsuccessful, the entire Scourge Corporation faces liquidation. Icecrown Citadel will be bulldozed and replaced with something far more terrifying and unethical, a Walmart supercenter. Truly a cataclysm for us all. This has been Nubcake News. Good night. You're listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Please. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com. You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. We're talking tweets, folks, but before that, allow me to just keep you up to date on a certain situation. You might be aware a little while ago we raised some money for a poor kitten, because I like kittens. I don't like the rest of you, but I like kittens. Kittens are better than all the population of WoW general, yeah? Kittens don't argue with me and make themselves look stupid. That's always a good thing. Kittens aren't hypocrites. Kittens aren't entitled casuals. You know, all they want is a little bit of attention and maybe feeding every now and again. And at least when they crap all over your carpet, they look vaguely apologetic about it. I'll tell you for a fact the WoW General guys don't. Right. We were looking to raise some money because this particular cat had a cyst on its head and was basically in danger of dying from it because there's a hole in the cat's skull. Well, I can update you on some progress. We raised the money and more besides, I might add, so you don't need to donate anything else. Thank you again to everyone that did that. That was very kind of everybody. 229 total contributors raised a total of $4,400. Very impressive generosity there. Absolutely stellar. Now, the cat has had the MRI scan, and the surgeon at the moment is analysing the data in order to create the artificial flap for the skull, which will allow the cyst to be removed. That is in progress, and we expect updates very soon as to what the next course of action will be. But it certainly looks like we are on course to fix the cat. And that, to me, is very important. Now, something that's less important to me is this particular Twitter debate. This, I wouldn't say it's a debate so much as a discussion, a dev chat. It's basically a Q&A. Now, we're working our way through this to try and find the interesting stuff. So, we're going to get right back on with it. Will the removal of defense in Cataclysm, this is one of the questions, with the removal of defense, will plate gear still have avoidance stats, or will tanks and DPS be sharing? Boring! Don't care, tanking, Blair, know nothing about it. Go listen to Just Plain Better, they'll tell you how to fix everything. At least when Natural 20 fixes his computer. Unfortunately, his computer is not just plain better, it's actually, arguably, just plain worse than everybody else's and isn't working right now. So hence the show isn't on the air. Kinda sucks. It'll be back. So, let's have a look at something else. Any plans to do anything with Grim Batol in the wetlands? Yes! We currently plan on having Grim Batol to be one of the raid zones in Cataclysm, which of course you would have known had you read the features list. Why would you post a question like this? The answer is on the website. You are encouraging bad behaviour, Blizzard! This is the same nonsense you put up with and force the rest of us to put up with on the blinking forums. Don't encourage stupidity. All you need to do is Google Cataclysm features list, or indeed go on the MMO Champion or any other website. Anything with BlizzCon coverage of any description, or look on the forums or something like that. Oh, just why would you answer that question? What a waste of space and time. Yeah, we know Grim Batol's going to be raided. It's because you bloody said it would be. Why must you indulge such foolery? Next question. What are the plans for the current Goblin-run towns after Cataclysm is out? Answer. It's lore stuff. Most Goblin-run towns will continue to operate as normal. Most. Interesting. I wonder which one they're going to blow up. Which one do I not like? I like Everlook. Everlook's pretty cool. Gadget Sand? No, they don't want to blow up that. That's awesome. Let's think about it. What are the other ones? Ratchet. Yeah, Ratchet sucks. Get rid of Ratchet. Nobody likes Ratchet. Nonsense place. Just blow it up. Turn it into a nuclear wasteland. That's what goblins get for mucking around with nuclear fusion. In general, quote, the existing goblin cartels tend to be self-serving and therefore aren't taking sides. Okay, that's a convenient way not to have to change anything. Gotta love lore-driven reasons for laziness. Right, patch 3.3. Here's some interesting material. You know what's weird? Is that half of the questions in this patch 3.3 segment, and I assume this is just the categorization that MMO Champions put on it, have got nothing to do with patch 3.3 at all. So, I have no idea. But we'll read them anyway and ignore that it says that. Quote, there's plenty of great endgame content. No, there isn't. Stop lying! What about some new early mid content to keep new players entertained? Dumbass. They're new players. They have loads of content to keep them entertained because they don't know about anything else. They've got all that content, and all that content's going to get remodeled in Cataclysm so it's less dull. Why add content for new players when all the content is new for new players? Nonsense. If they're not entertained by the existing content, then that very clearly indicates that the existing content sucks and needs to be dealt with. I do not disapprove of that, but hey, they've got an expansion for that. It's called Cataclysm. That is where they're doing that. That's where they're doing the remodeling, getting everything sorted out that way. That's fine. In fact, I celebrate the fact that they're doing that, because hey, it's not really up to the standards of the new stuff. Not surprising, because again, if a development company doesn't advance its techniques over 5 years, and millions upon hundreds of millions of dollars, billions most likely over the last 5 years, then they're not very good at their jobs. We know that Blizzard are very good at their jobs, thereby they're going to come up with something good. Now the answer to this, we actually have some small changes to the early game going live in 3.3 to help eliminate some new player confusion. This is not content specific, it's more focused around easing the new player pain. Good answer. Very good answer. That's what I like to hear. I have no objections to them spending time making the experience for new players easier in terms of getting them into the game. Yeah? And hopefully a bit more interesting. What I don't want is them wasting tons and tons of time in a patch adding content for new players. Because that's garbage. They've already got content. Cataclysm? Fine. Absolutely fine with that. Might even be tempted to roll a new character. Yes. That's shocking, folks. Those of you who may be new to the show will not be aware that, of course, that I am very much anti-alt. I hate alts. I hate them. I have like one character on either side. I've got a US character and an EU character, and that is it. Except for one. I've also got a 63 Rogue, and I have that because we used to do classic raiding with it. It now is in retirement and probably will never see the light of day again. However, I will happily roll a Troll Moonkin. Yes. Troll Moonkin. If I get Vorpaltinger form. So, Blizzard, if you're listening, if you want me to level, then you will need to allow me, as a Troll Druid, to roll up a Vorpaltinger form. And if I don't get my Vorpaltinger form, then I will not be rolling an alt. You've seen the photoshops with the big tusks. Give me a Vorpaltinger form. You know you want to. I know your art department is spoiling for something silly. Lord knows you're putting in enough of it. Give me my Vorpaltinger form. Give it to me now, and you may be spared. Next question. Will leveling from 80 to 85 be like leveling from 70 to 80? Answer. It's too early to say. We base our leveling more around how much quest content we have and how good the reward pacing feels. If we have as many quests as we did from 70 to 80 and it feels like your character is getting a reasonable amount of new stuff for the time invested, then it could end up being similar. Okay. So, there's a possible suggestion there that 80 to 85 will last as long as 70 to 80. I'm not really big into questing, you know that, but I did enjoy the Wrath questing, because it was quite nicely put together. So, if we get another evolution, a bit of progression in terms of the questing, hopefully more group quests. Now, after playing DDO for a while, I realized that everything is cooler with other people. That's kind of what an MMO is all about, playing with others. So, if you can solo everything, it becomes sucky. Now, I don't think solo players should be encouraged, honestly. It's the wrong kind of game to do that in. There's plenty of other games where you can play solo. In fact, Dragon Age Origins, that's coming out very soon. Go play that. That's a solo game. Questing's more interesting, combat's more interesting, dialogue's more interesting, graphics look better. It's basically better in every possible respect for a solo player. Go play that. Don't play WoW. If you want to play an MMO, then I would suggest you start being a little bit more social and getting involved with people. Now, I understand the vast majority of people in the game are incredibly dumb. That does not mean that you get to escape, you get to make excuses, you get to weasel your way out of grouping with others. Join a guild, find a group of people that are good. Yes, 80-90% of people are stupid. That still leaves you with a couple of million. So, go find them. They're around. You just need to know where to look. Next question. Will players be able to do old world quests after Cataclysm is released? Only old world quests that we didn't change. However, once the Cataclysm happens, it happens for everyone. There's no going back. There you go, folks. Anyone that was concerned about this being a whole big phasing thing where the Cataclysm happens, not gonna happen. Probably a good thing, because, hey, phasing, while cool, can cause all manner of different problems. So, they're using the phasing for the gradual progression of bad things happening in the world. Like, say, at BlizzCon, they showed us the idea of phasing where an area gets gradually more flooded. That's cool. You don't need to phase the entire world, though, and indeed that causes its own set of problems where players are in the wrong phase, they can't help their friends, everyone gets really confused. Yeah, it's sort of it's a necessary evil in terms of the system, because it's an MMO, and it's not a single-player game where you can just change everything, because, of course, you've got everyone else to worry about. So, yeah, Cataclysm happening to everything is good. Honestly. in my opinion. So I have no problems with that. How will you handle beginning characters and higher level friends after Cataclysm? Will they be out of phase? No, players will not be out of phase. The Cataclysm changes the word for everything, so there's your clarification. Good. Happy with that. Next question. Are Worgen gonna have mounts? What the hell else would they have? Yes, let's bring planeswalking back. Because Lord knows that was a great concept 5 years ago in the beta. No, they abandoned that because that was boring. They're not going to do that, the same thing again with Worgen. Ah, yes, you get a running form. That's not interesting. It pisses people off. They don't want that. Yes, they get new mounts. And apparently, goblins get some kind of crazy thing that gives the Mecha Strider a run for its money. If it doesn't have freaking laser beams and Gatling guns on the side of it, then I will not be impressed. Next question. Will there be events where allies and Horde players have to work together to kill a boss? Answer. Generally speaking, we don't do this because we prefer that the Horde and Alliance feel like enemies rather than a big happy family working together to defeat a common foe. If anything, we want tension between the two sides to rise. Again, good. Very good. I'm glad that this has been happening lately, actually. This is something that I'm not big into the lore, everybody knows this by now, but what has interested me is the supposed rising tensions between Alliance and Horde. I don't want reconciliation, especially not with Cataclysm supposedly grim dark. If you're gonna do grim dark, that means warfare, that means conflict, that means animosity, that means nemesis. Yes, we want many of those. So yeah, that's fine. I don't see any problem with that. Is anyone else? No? Good. Excellent. Moving on. Will Hyjal be made for exploration in Cataclysm? Yes. Okay. Cool. Fair enough. It's a new zone. Who cares? Well, I could go on, but I want to leave Raids and Dungeons till after the break, so that's what we're going to do. You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. I have been reliably informed that people really like Epica. Yes, they do. So, I think I should play Epica. It's quite lengthy, I'm going to play it anyway. It's the Pirates of the Caribbean medley, it's so fantastic. I will be back after this, folks, to continue with this twaddle. Sorry, Twitter, that's what it's called. Enjoy. You are listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Please. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com. You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit. So, now we get to the interesting bit of this particular venture that, well, calling it a venture is a little bit generous, one would say. Those of you who've just tuned in, well, you've missed, like, 3/4 of the show. That makes you very silly. However, I'll be merciful and I'll update you on what we're doing. Blizzard did a dev chat, which is disingenuous considering what it actually was, which was, tweet us questions and we'll give you really short answers and then post them on the forum for no good reason. That's what it was. Now, there's a section here on MMO Champion, which is where I'm reading all of this stuff from, because it's just more convenient that way. MMO-champion.com. Raids and Dungeons. This is the third segment out of 4. This is where things get interesting. In a bad way. Mostly. First question. Love the steps taken to make high-end content accessible to casual players. I don't. Casual players? I'm sorry. But being a casual player does not excuse you from having to attain a basic mark of being good. Yeah? A basic level of skill. Just some basic benchmark. A little bit of a watermark. Just something, a hurdle that you have to get across. Because if you don't, then it's pointless. It serves no practical purpose anymore. So I'm sure you love it, but then again you suck. Whoever you are, you anonymous moron. How committed are you to continuing this? Answer. This is something we talk about on a regular basis. And I hope it's in the context of, oh god, these guys are so stupid, look, they want more and more for basically doing nothing. And doesn't it suck that we've got to appease them in order to keep them subscribed to our game? There isn't a line in the sand that we've made. It's more on a per piece of content basis. We do like the way the regular modes are shaping up to be more casual friendly, while the hard modes are a way to reward very hardcore play. What's the difference, man? Man? Dude? Bro? What is the difference? Tell me. The difference is, it's not casual versus hardcore, it's good players and not good players. They can be casual or hardcore. There's plenty of bad hardcore players. I've raided with several of them. More than several. There's plenty of good casual players. I mean, for God's sake, we're setting up a 10-man guild to do 10-man hard modes. Now, hard modes was for the hardcore, but we're only raiding twice a week. That's it. That's all we're doing. And yes, I'm going through the apps this weekend. I'm going to be contacting various people to have a little bit of a chat so we can get it all set up on Mazrigo EU. Get on the 10-man stuff. So, what is that guild exactly? Is that casual guild? Is that a hardcore guild? Where do you draw the line? What's the difference? You're not even defining what a casual and hardcore player is, so why cater to either if you don't even know what they are? I've said it before, that casual and hardcore don't really exist anymore. The lines are just so blurred, the entire definition is utterly meaningless. So, I don't know why they decided to make this arbitrary divide. Can't we just have, well, this is suitable for players of a certain skill level, and this is suitable for players of a higher skill level? Not say this is suitable for casuals. Because that gives people the idea that all casuals want is easy content they can face roll their way through. Some of them do. They're called entitled casuals. They want loot for basically doing nothing. And will complain and whine and espouse the wonders of their social life. In fact, they're in a bar right now, posting on the WoW General forums. Surrounded by beautiful women. No, actually, they're spending more time spurging out on the forums than they are playing the game, which is ironic, I must say. A little bit hypocritical as well when you think about it. Like, I'm a casual player who spends more time complaining about being a casual player than I actually do playing the game. Yeah. Smart. Rewarding good play. Let's reword that. You know, whoever's responsible for typing this needs to talk to someone in PR. Not me, because I am a PR disaster, as everyone knows. Talk to someone and say, here's what you say. You say, we like the fact that the regular modes are more suited to a wider selection of the player base because they are not quite as hard as the hard modes. But of course we can't say that because that's going to offend everyone. Oh, you're saying I just do easy content? I pay my subscription like everyone else. Shut up. Harden up. Seriously. Just say it. Say it out loud. I forgot that you called it hard modes to begin with. So why say, it's hardcore play? No, it's not. It's players who are good versus players who are not so good. And then you have binary hard modes, so you go from not so good all the way up to really, really, really good. Don't refer to it as casual and hardcore. It's a bad idea. You're using nebulous terms, and that leads to nebulous development practices. And then you don't know who you're aiming it at. Next question. Old War had one kind of hard mode, Triggered. TOC had another, TOC versus TOGC. That's Trial of the Crusader versus Trial of the Grand Crusader. Oni has none. What will Icecrown Citadel have? Icecrown Citadel's hard modes will be triggered, but via an in-game UI, much like how you toggle between normal and heroic modes today, rather than triggered by game mechanics, like not killing the 3 drakes before you attack Sartharian. Okay. It's not really creative, is it? When you think about it. I understand why they would want to get rid of the way that they trigger hard modes in Old War and, of course, Sartharian, because they're very weird. They're not always clear as to what you're doing. Although I must say, if anyone has the skill level to attempt any of those hard modes, then they really also should have access to Wowhead. Or any other number of resources available to them. Let's be absolutely and completely honest there. Why would you need to explain that? But, again, it's not a battle I'm willing to fight because it's such a minor issue. I think it is a little bit sad to see the creativity going there. It's like, you've turned up the orbital defenses, blah, blah, blah. I don't suppose you have to not get rid of that, when you think about it. You don't have to get rid of it. You could still have it, but it will be activated via a click menu. And then you get the cutscene right there, and it's like, are you sure you wish to activate hard mode? Okay, it's like, you've broken everything. Everything's going to blow up and explode and all that other nonsense. Something along those lines, at any rate. Now, what else have we got? For cross-realm looking for group, if the group is composed by members of other realms, do they have to go on foot, or will they be teleported? The current plan is for players using the LFG system to be automatically teleported into the instance, similar to how Battleground queuing works today. This is active on the PTR now, and we plan to host a community event around this feature soon. A community event? Such as what? Can't imagine what that's going to involve. Like, we have found warriors from other dimensions! Please don't do that. Don't you dare. That's way too meta. It's horrible. Yeah, cross-realm looking for groups is an interesting idea. I can't really imagine why I'd want to find new and exotic idiots to group with. I'm quite happy with our run-of-the-mill native idiots, thank you very much. At least I know what they're going to do. And I can expect a certain level of stupidity, a certain baseline. Otherwise, you end up getting your illusion shattered of what they're capable of. It's like, oh wow, they've descended to a brand new depth of exotic stupidity. That's thrilling. Oh. Ow. Please don't make me. I won't be using this feature at all. Because I will have a guild. And if I don't have a guild, I won't be playing. So I don't care either way. Next question. With Tier 10, are we going to see tokens like in Old War or like CC? CC style had every class and spec rolling on the same thing. Wow, really? Ugh. Well, I suppose that makes sense when you think about it. It's not really a big deal. Tier stuff's always been really boring. That's the point. All the way back to Tier 1. It's like, oh, it's a teardrop. It's not as good or exciting as this. Like, oh, it's an Arcanist robe. Great. It's not a robe of volatile power. That's way more interesting. It's not like a set of curtains, but whatever. Tier gear's never been interesting. And I don't see people's obsession with it. Like, we can look like this. Yeah, you can look like everybody else. So why don't you pick some other stuff? And the tier gear you know is not going to be as good as the non-set stuff anyway. Anyway. Answer. With Tier 10, we're going to be seeing a hybrid. The Tier 10 items, the ones with the item level you'd find in the 10-man instance, will be purchased with Emblems of Frost. Hang on a minute. So let me think this through. So, the purchasing with Emblems of Frost. So, you're giving out Emblems of Frost for doing the 10-man as well. Well, I hope the 10-man's as challenging as the 25-man if you're going to give what is effectively equal level emblems. Now, here's the interesting thing. The tier 10.5 items, the ones with item levels you'd find in the 25-player raid, will be obtained by getting a token that is specific to 3 or 4 classes, much like the Old War tokens, and using it to upgrade the tier 10 item that was purchased with the Emblems of Frost. So you need the tier 10 in order to get the tier 10.5. Okay. I don't really have any opinion on that, honestly. I mean, it seems sort of pointless. I'm trying to think as to what the purpose would be. There really isn't one, is there? No. No, I'm drawing a blank, honestly. If you know the purpose of this particular change, then yes, send me a tweet or an email or a PM on IRC, because immediately I can't think of any rationale behind it. I mean, I suppose it works, but that's really about it. I suppose it works like anything else does. Ugh. Not a clue. Not a clue what they're trying to achieve there. But whatever. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Just make them drop like they used to in Molten Core. Everyone will love that. Next question. Will there be any more epic storylines with cinematics like the Wrathgate questline? I certainly hope they're not like the Wrathgate questline. We have big plans for additional in-game cinematics. We are happy with how the Wrathgate questline worked out. Want to do more lines like this. No, 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 no. I suppose you can be happy with the questline, but you can't be happy with the final quest. Surely you can't be happy with that. I mean, the cinematic was fantastic, and the lead-up and all the preparation, that was great, but the actual quest itself was ass. Think about it. I've already explained why it's bad on last week's show. I'm not going to repeat myself. I'm just hoping they've learned from that. Next question. May I create a group with 4 friends and then use the LFG interface to gain the random dungeon reward? Yes! In fact, you can join it with a full group of 5 and still get the random dungeon reward. The reward is for doing a random dungeon, not necessarily having random members. Okay. I suppose. So what, it's going to teleport you to a random dungeon? It's like, roll the dice, see if you get Oculus. It's like Russian roulette, only more painful. Next question. Crowd control is all but dead in raids. Is that something you plan on bringing it back? Like, say, with the Faction Champions encounter in TOC. Congratulations, Blizzard, you did one encounter that actually requires crowd control. That's not impressive. Every encounter used to need it in some way or another. At least the trash did. You took out the trash. That's where most of the crowd control happened to begin with. There's barely any crowd control in Old War. That's really sad, honestly. I would like to see more CC, because I don't like my abilities getting redundant, and I'm sure no one else does either. Next question, are there any plans to open other Sanctums in Wormrest, i.e. Obsidian Sanctum, Azure Sanctum, Emerald Sanctum? Possibly. With that stupid square smiley. Well, thanks for that, that's very informative. Why even say it if that's all you're gonna do? Ugh. Next question. Are hard modes going to get anything to make them feel like a different fight visually or auditory? I find the hard modes very different visually, much more like black and white emo. What the hell does that even mean? Ugh, that's even nonsense. Yeah, they're gradually getting a little bit more insane as we go down here. Well, some of the fights, if you think about it, are different visually. I mean, if you look at not XD002, that's really not different visually, but Mimeron, that's very different visually. Lots more light shows going on. I'd like to see more of that. That would be kind of cool. The more stuff goes on, the better. Again, Flame Leviathan, great example of that. Next question. Any chance that the hybrid system that is going to be implemented for Tier 10 could be retrofitted to all Wrath of the Lich King raids? So this was actually asked after the announcement of the Tier 10 hybrid gear acquisition system. Answer, I'll take that as a good reaction to the Tier 10 system, however, unfortunately it won't be retroactively applied. Okay, well, it doesn't really matter anyway, does it? I mean, there are instances with different systems in already, so I don't see the problem. Next question, will 10-man raiding guilds see epic quality weapons, items drop in their raids anytime soon? No, that's the simple answer to that. Our plan is to reserve them for 25-man encounters, we won't rule it out in the future. Any plans to use a gating system? Just trying to get this done quickly. Yeah, there's probably going to be a gating system in Ice Crown. Boo and hiss. And the last question. In the future, will hard modes have greater fidelity like Soft, Soft plus 1, Soft plus 2, Soft plus 3 rather than binary, normal / hard? Generally, we have learned that hard modes should be more binary. Then you have learned nothing. At all. No, hard mode should not be binary. Binary hard modes are terrible from every possible design perspective other than this will save us time. That's the only good design perspective that you can view that from. Yes, it's good because we don't have to work so hard. It's not good for everybody else because you get a stupid stratification of the player base. Like, one here, one there. Massive great gap between the two, and a huge chasm that most players can't even attempt to leap over because there's no bridge at all. There is no progress there. It's either you get to this benchmark or you get to all the way over to this benchmark, and most people are dissatisfied with the lower benchmark but can't jump to the higher benchmark because there's too much of a gap between them. How do you bridge the gap? Non-binary hard mode. Soft 1, 2, 3. Freya 1, 2, 3. Flame Leviathan 1, 2, 3, 4. Yogg plus 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. That makes sense to me. That should make sense to everybody else. Why does it not make sense to Blizzard? That I ask you. You're listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. With myself, TotalBiscuit. Well, I suppose it's time for some live Ask the Murloc. I would suggest you get in the channel, because the Murloc may respond to your piffling remarks. I can't guarantee it, however. We shall see. It's time for
Ask the Murloc.
You, bees, leave my domicile at once! You will listen to the Murloc's every command! Relish it as the sweetest nectar, suckle upon the teat of my every word. No, buzz is not an acceptable response to this command! Oh, it's you. Excellent, a new target for these infuriating bees! The Murloc sees you brought in piffling lesser concerns, far beneath my monolithic wisdom. That is to be expected from such inferior creatures. Consider yourselves infinitely fortunate that I don't obliterate you at this very moment. The Murloc is, however, too busy. Yeah, these bees must be brought in line, so Let's have at it, before I tire of your insolence. What is this nonsense? These questions that you bring to me on this horrible rolled up paper covered in what appears to be bacon grease. Don't you have any concerns for your health? Well, I suppose no one really cares if you die at the age of 27. In fact, better still, rid the world of your rotting carcasses at this very moment. Continue to scoff down the bacon grease. That is the Murloc's wish. The Murloc's command. Dear Murloc, I'm not sure which is better, a mage or a warlock in terms of PvE. Can you help me decide? Ha! By the looks of you, wretch, you couldn't handle either. It would appear you have the intellectual capacity of a prepubescent gnat. Not to worry, though. The Murloc is sure he can find a use for you. Possibly in this soup pot. Actually, no. By the look of you, you're far too dirty. Yeah, you would poison it. Corrupt it with your filth. The primary role of a warlock is to make a mage look good by comparison. You see, warlocks are basically the same as mages, but dumber. They're like the Diet Coke of magic, the margarine of magic, just one mana point, not even enough. They even require a pet to keep their DPS even semi-competitive, as opposed to mastering the powers of flame, ice, and the infinite energies of the arcane. The Murloc suggests the warlock community college instead. Literally anybody can get in, and better still, they give you a crutch pet to help you along the entire way. I'm not sure how a Void Walker benefits your primary DPS ability, however. The Summoning Stone, which brings in allies to do the Warlock's work for him, while he whines about his poor economic conditions and failed potential. Yes, you look like one with the potential to fail, so enroll immediately. Good lord, look at all these morons. I see it scrolling. They hating. I see them typing dirty. The Murloc is not impressed with your flippantry. There are 182 piffling peasants inside this tiny little white window. How do they fit? How do they defy the laws of physics? Perhaps that is something that the Murloc can harness for his gain. An infinite source of power. Ah, yes. A super weapon mounted atop the Murloc's mansion with an infinitesimal firing arc of doom. Look at the nonsense. Look at them laugh. They think I jest. They would be mistaken. The Murloc never jests when it comes to matters of taking over this pathetic, piffling, peddling, peasant planet. Pah! Dear Murloc, I am a holy priest who has just started my raiding career. I have been taken on by a hardcore raiding guild that have told me that I can have a trial to see if I'm good enough to heal their raids. In your infinite wisdom, Murloc, can you please give me some advice on which spells I should use and how to make sure I leave a good impression on my guild when I heal my first 25-man raid this weekend? Well, I can tell you how to leave a lasting impression on your guild. It's quite simple, really. All you have to do is set them all on fire. Then let them burn and hear the screams in your mind. Let them reverberate around your peasant skull. It's not like the Murloc skull. The Murloc skull has superior acoustics. The echoing, the howling, the screaming is so delightful. And you shall never get to experience it, you inferior creature. Ah, I'm surprised you people can even remember to breathe. Ah, priests. So caring. So vital to the livelihood of their fellow raiders. You'll be pleased to hear that Blizzard don't much care for that sort of thing and have made Shadow the best healing spec. The best approach is to take absolutely no aggro reduction talents of any kind, as they take away valuable points from other more important things. Also remember that it is absolutely appropriate to pull with the Shadow Fiend. After all, if hunters can do it, then why can't you? Raiders may complain that vampiric touch is not sufficient to keep them healed, particularly since all of their druids spec balance, but they are weak and flaccid. Show them who's boss, and if they die, it's their own bloody fault. Nonsense. Absolute piffling nonsense. Raiders these days, I tell you, the Murloc used to raid Molten Core solo at level 47. And that was only to make sure it was fair for the Molten Destroyers. Lord knows if I'd raided at any higher level, the Molten Destroyers would have been annihilated. It would not have been any sport. And never let it be said the Murloc is not honourable, and wise, and powerful, and sexy as all hell. Now get out of my house! These bees require more training! Aha!
Ask the Murloc.
You're listening to the podcast, an archive of Blue Please. Music was removed due to copyright concerns. If you'd like to hear the music, tune in live on Fridays at 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That is 3 p.m. EST on WCRadio.com. So yeah, I'm pretty quiet on Vent, you know? Kinda laid back.
Oh my god, you noobs! DPS the ends!
Just like to chill out, kick back, relax, raid with my friends. No worries, no stress.
How is that even possible? Are you 7 different shades of stupid? Move out of the fire!
It's important to make sure my orders come through loud and clear. I'm a bit, shy. I'm not particularly loud or anything. My last event server was really poor quality.
Tank it, for heaven's sakes! Tank it! How can you be so monumentally freaking terrible?
I discovered UGT Ventrilo servers. Amazing quality, great prices, and they're so reliable. It was perfect in every way. I mean, I was a pretty calm guy before, and now I've got even less reasons to worry.
Why? Why do I raid with you people?
Why not get one of your own? UGTservers.com. That's UGTservers.com. You'll be glad that you did. It's really helped me find my zen, you know? You are listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio with myself, TotalBiscuit, entering the final segment, whereby we usually have a look and see if there's anything good for the Illusion of Choice! That was scary, it went by my ear. Let's see what we got. The Illusion of Choice, Blizzard doesn't get Twitter. That's not an illusion of choice, that's just a statement of fact. It's the illusion of fact. Yeah, we know Blizzard doesn't get Twitter. A lot of companies don't really get social networking or media of any real description. To be honest, it took us a while to really understand what Twitter was all about. It's a shame. You always get that where you get on the bandwagon a little bit too late. It's like, oh, wow, if only I'd just got in there early, we could be part of the Twitterati with millions and millions of followers and influence the world over. Not really, but, you know. Oh well, Twitter can be handy. In fact, it was handy for updating people on the status of our server while it was dead. So, if you think it's useless, well, you'd be mistaken. So, let's see if there's anything else here. A remark about achievements being pointless. Should I read it? Yeah, I'll read it, why not? Let's make this the illusion of choice, even if it isn't. Just for the hell of it. It's from Mike Korn. If that's your real name, that scares the hell out of me. He's also known as Shamanopoly. That's a good name, I like that. Shaman from Lightning's Blade US. And he says this. Hey TB, your remark about achievements being pointless, I feel, is not completely true. Although having great rewards for a quest may be enough, having something that says congratulations as well as broadcasting your achievement to your guild is something I think is a priceless additive. Now, let me just stop you there for a second. Why don't quests do that? I mean, broadcasting the achievement to the guild would be you wearing the reward, right? Or saying, hey guys, I just beat this. Or better yet, doing it with your guild. Wouldn't that be better? Of course, we've got group quests. Go do them with your guild, and then you can share in the wonders of the achievement. Ah. The sunshine, the kittens, the flowers, the... Ugh. Anyway. Quote, it makes the player feel good in a way that rewards can't do. What? Really? Why? It makes, as small as it may be, in fact, I feel that they should take it another step and have a personal congratulative message across the screen with a small victory tune after killing any main dungeon boss. They already have that. It's called Deadly Boss Mods and Big Wigs that do the Final Fantasy tune whenever something dies. I actually have that right here. I could probably do it for you, I suppose. This is my PSP. This is Dissidia. Dissidia is awesome. If you want the victory tune, well, that should be easy enough. Let's see, go to Quick Battle. Let's see what we can find here. You see, this is the efficient way of doing drop-ins, folks. None of that other nonsense. Fight against this character with my level 72 Cloud versus a level 1 minimal difficulty X-Death. There we go, enter battle. Easy enough. See, this is a live playthrough on the air, folks. Level 79 Cloud versus level 1 X-Death. This is casual content. Now, this is casual, friendly content right here. You know, who wants difficult content, right? Casuals can do this. It's easy. So, you're telling me that you want something along the lines of... Okay, come on, yes, we know you're doing the summons. That's nonsense, you're dead. Here we go. So you want that? Really? Is that what you need? You need a pat on the head? You need me to go through the ridiculous motions of finding that sample because I don't have it in my soundboard? That's what you want? Well, Deadly Boss Mods, there you go. Deadly Boss Mods, big wigs, they all have that. That's amusing. It's no different from console games. Example, Final Fantasy, when you beat a big boss, you give them the congratulations message. It makes you feel good. It's a pat on the head. Come on, really? Why do you need a pat on the head when you can have awesome gear? There you go. That's all you need. Awesome gear. Awesome gear is a pat on the head. It broadcasts the achievement because you're wearing something awesome. Now, and I'm not as aggressive towards achievements as people seem to think I am. I think some of them have a valuable purpose, like progress tracking achievements. I don't like pointless achievements. I don't like stupid achievements. I think the achievement system is great for tracking progress and proving progress. Except for the fact that someone came up with a mod that allows you to fake achievements, which is pathetic, I might add, and that should be bannable, as far as I'm concerned. That is an exploit. There's no question about that. Is an exploit. That should be banned. You want to use the add-on policy to great effect, Blizz, which I've never seen you do, I might add, since you brought it in. Stupid add-on policy. Why don't you use it to good effect and ban that? That's pathetic. Oh, but we need it because if we don't have the epic achievement, they won't let us in the pub. Get in a guild and stop worrying about people that feel the need to say you need this and this much gear score and you need to be on at this time and it needs to be a full moon and it needs to be a rainy night sometime in the middle of September and you need to have a certain colour hair in order to get into a pug. Stop pugging and you won't have this problem. Pugs are made of pain. And disappointment and misery. Stop subjecting yourself to them. It scared me, actually. There was a post on the EU forums whereby people were whining, complaining, like, ninja looting on my server. Fix, please, fix. Right, one, there isn't a fix to ninja looting at all. There isn't one. If there was, they'd have implemented it. There is no fix to ninja looting because ninja looting in the eyes of Blizzard doesn't exist. Everyone has the same rights to an item in a pickup group. They have the right to roll on it regardless of what you think. The game doesn't care what you think. All it cares about is they were in there, they killed the boss, they have loot rights. Simple as that. Every system that's in there is exploitable by ninja looters one way or the other. There is no fix to be had. There is only one solution, which is not a fix. This is an overarching change of ideas, change of attitude. And the change of attitude is quite simply this: stop pugging. Stop it. It's laziness. It's because you don't want to make links with other people. You don't want to socially interact with other people. You don't want to find good people. You don't want to go through the effort because it's too hard to find a guild and make my own. I don't want it. Whine, whine, cry, cry, complain. You deserve to have your stuff stolen. It's as simple as that. You deserve to be ninja looted from until you learn. It's like you just smack you on the head over and over again with a rolled up newspaper. No, 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 no. Stop it. Stop pugging. You won't have that problem. And of course, then you won't have the problem of, oh, you need this achievement, you need this achievement, because you've got a group of people that know your abilities, you know theirs, and you don't have to worry about it anymore. It's that simple. So, you know, if you want a reason why I hate achievements, the over-reliance on them, and to the point where you have to make a mod to fake them. God. Achievements are misused so much, it's pathetic. They're stupid time sinks most of the time. Progress tracking, great. Fantastic. That has a practical use. Roam first, great. Really good. Feats of strength, yeah, they're pretty good as well. Fall 65 feet without dying. Not cool. Gather 10,000 gold. Not cool. Nobody cares about these kind of things. Now, do lower there without any spores. Pointless. Totally pointless. All of this nonsense. We don't care. I would hope. I would hope most people gather achievements incidentally and don't actually shoot for them. I'm just one of those people that, particularly with consoles and my Xbox 360, for instance, I don't even go after achievements ever. So I don't give a damn of any way at all about achievements. The obsession over them is stupid. They are, in essence, like everything else in World of Warcraft, pointless. But they're more pointless because they don't give you anything tangible. And the irony of using the word tangible in terms of virtual goods is, yes, I realize it. It's palpable. You can taste it. It's in the air. But think about it. Virtual goods versus virtual merit badge. What a contest. My name is TotalBiscuit. You have been listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. Thank you ever so much for listening. Check out the rest of our shows on WCRadio.com. Make sure to listen to the final WoW Things Considered, which is tonight at midnight BST. That is 7 PM EST on WCRadio.com. Check out all the shows on iTunes, rate and review us. The site is back up and functional. Go post on our forums, hang out in our IRC chat. It's all great. We've got a Twitter feed that you can follow, which is very handy if you want to be up to date on the latest news, as well as when things get released and all that kind of stuff. It's very handy, very cool. I have my own Twitter feed if you want to follow that, which generally consists of me shouting at people in 140 characters or less. If that's your thing, if you're a bit of a masochist, if you like punishment, twitter.com/TotalBiscuit. Shout out time, folks. Email themurloc@gmail.com. That is themurloc@gmail.com. Alternatively, irc.mmoirc, hash or pound WoW Radio. Send me a PM there for a shout out or tweet me at TotalBiscuit. That is @TotalBiscuit. Send them on through. Last couple of minutes of the show. First things first. A shout out to everybody who came to the Amsterdam meetup. Although I believe we had a total of like 14 or 15 people there. That was great. I only expected a couple. It was the TotalBiscuit Amsterdam meetup. We had a bunch of great people there. I'm sorry I can't remember all of your names. I can remember Avitas. I can remember Ben Woodward. I can remember Fagrom. It's probably not called Fagrom. It's probably Fargrim. But Fagrom. Yes. And a shout out to the Cucumber. Whatever that is. That's from Avitas. I have no idea what that is. A shout out to Steves and Looper and good looks in their 2 vs 10 Laser Quest match tomorrow. Thanks from Steves. Wow, really? A shout out to the whole Draenor EU server. Please suck less. That's from Zushi. There you go. YoTB, Ragavale here of Doomhammer EU. Can I get a shout out for me for getting a new PC? No more tanking with 5 FPS. Always nice. A shout out to my guild Honk if you're Hordy. Oh, you can't be serious. On Nagrand US from Bloodaxe, the sexy warrior deeps. I'm disturbed. A shout out to Raisinets on Blade Fist. Boomkin for the win. That's from some guy whose name isn't there. Can I get a shout out as opposed a shout at? Okay. You're terrible! Shout out Elso for being lazy and not coming into the IRC, telling me we'll be hunted down. That's from Stevie. You will be hunted down and you're terrible. You're an awful example of humankind. And Arcana Force, he was also there at the meetup. So a shout out to him, and a shout out to WoW Radio for being back online. Shout out to Walter and me for celebrating our birthdays last week, because that's from Umamor. He's going to hate me for this. Okay, anything that makes Walt hate anyone is a very good thing in my book. Shout out to Bison! Bison Dollars. That's from Darcy Ibsen, also known as Darcy on... What the bloody hell is that? Why do you come up with these things? He's on a US guild and is... What's this? Finbenach. That Dutch again. Bloodscalp US. There you go. Bling bling. A shout out to Purple Haze on Outland EU. That's from ... Are you serious? A bunch of dots? Really? You can't have your name as a bunch of dots. You can't announce that. That sounds stupid. A shout out to me and Forgotten One for killing stunties and delivering them to the Wah. That's from the Limus. A shout out to myself for preloading Borderlands yesterday. Did so, her. Ferganator, 4K, and getting myself into a clan in DDO. It's a guild, I believe. A shout out to Deadly Poets Society on Emerald EU, Emerald Dream EU, yes indeed. And a shout out to Bunkerface for providing me with accommodation for the few days I was over in the one and only Holland. Very nice place, very nice people. Shout out to him and his family. Thank you for being so hospitable. And shout out to his dad for preparing some exceptionally good meals. Very good indeed. A shout out to Bunch of Dots, that's from Tide Caller. Shout out to Lamb Parties for keeping me awake for 5 days consecutively without WoW and on Open TTD. Oh, so good. Transport Tycoon Deluxe, one of the best games ever made. That's from Lim. One more. A shout out to Why Things Considered for being a great show these past few years. That is from Champions. Ladies and gents, I am done for the night. You have been listening to Blue Please here on WoW Radio. Thank you ever so much for listening. As always, you have been an absolutely stellar audience in the IRC. And those of you listening on the podcast, I will take the default position that you've been a stellar audience anyway until proven otherwise. We're going to go off and go out on a track by Finn Troll. Smackton Spearer. Good night. You have been listening to the podcast and archive of Blue Please. You can listen live Fridays, 8 p.m. British Standard Time. That's 3 p.m. EST with a lively musical pre-show kicking off 1 hour beforehand. We appreciate your time. We would like to invite you to be part of our large forum community at forums.wcradio.com.